So now we're just going to wrap up with a couple of thoughts and comments. I'll give you mine on the day, and I'll let you talk about 2025. I was really struck as I listened to all the presentations today on a couple of things. One is the size of the market here. Carolyn Grossman mentioned the report that we presented with them 3 years ago on the New York metropolitan market, which includes New York, New Jersey, and Southern Connecticut. And it is the largest life science economy in the world, combined. And the second point that I was struck by today is that they used to be very separate markets, really separate. Very little, kind of fluidity between the two markets. And what I saw today was a lot of fluidity, was companies that are very smart about what their needs are, what their employees' needs are, where their locations need to be, and strategically locating between both markets in order to attract employees and also attract capital. So a footprint in both marketplaces. And it will be very interesting to see how that continues to evolve as we move into the next chapter of life science development in the greater New York metro market, because New York is kind of entering the second chapter. It's built a lot of lab space now, focused on rezoning, focused on workforce development. New Jersey is in its second phase of renewing its big pharma campuses into multi-tenant environments. And I'll just be really interested to see that fluidity and how it increases. When I first realized this was when I was working on the Cove, which is a development in Jersey City that lies between the New Jersey Medical Center and SciTech City, which is what Liberty Museum is, the Science Museum is actually developing now. And I realized then that this is not two markets, it's one market. I can take a ferry from the Hudson Square area across the Hudson in 5 minutes and get to Jersey City. It's not another market. So it was kind of interesting to understand the political boundaries are what's separating some of this activity. And that is, I think, less so now as companies learn how to use the benefits of both areas to really advance what they need in a very strategic manner. So those were two of the things. And I guess the third thing is that the diversity of science that's happening now and the just sheer scope and scale of what science is looking at, everything from brain cancers to cell and gene therapy to creating new materials and growing food in a lab. It's just amazing the breadth of the science that's happening in this marketplace. And that gives me a lot of hope.
Well, I made a lot of good points. Here's some others, I hope. One thing is that while companies and institutions may view the New York metro area as one region, again, the majority of the lab space, and I do a list of top 10 U.S. biopharma clusters, it always strikes me that for the New York metro area, New York, New Jersey, as we call it, the majority of the lab space, roughly 60%, probably a little more, is in New Jersey and not New York City. Now, there had been a big effort at development of lab space stretching back, I'd say, roughly 20 years with the Alexandria development on the east side. And over the years, projects in Long Island City, in West Harlem, and of course in the suburbs, Westchester County where I live, and now stretching into Rockland with Regeneron buying the former Avon property in Suffern. So yeah, they may view it, but the communities, the municipalities, always see it as separate, and they see a competition. And yet, a smarter way to look at it would be for each part, each area of the region to think of themselves as having a place. Maybe the startups start in Manhattan. Maybe they build up to somewhere else, whether that's an outer suburb, a former pharma campus like in Kenilworth. The Onyx property comes to mind, and they did the presentation. Or something even larger if a company grows big enough to justify that. There's not that much thinking because the governments tend to view themselves as, well, if you're going here, we can't enjoy you there. And yet, they might be able to stretch out a solution, whereas maybe some units stay in New York City, but others expand. Maybe they go to whether Westchester, whether New Jersey, Long Island even, and there's been some development there as well. So that's one thing. The New Jersey project part was interesting. There was a couple of discussions that were here today. I believe the figure, if I'm not mistaken, was 19 million square feet of space. Well, that's 7.5 Empire State Buildings. There's a lot of space to be filled over the next several years. And how well or how slowly that space gets filled is something I'm going to be watching pretty closely. You look at Helix, for example, in New Brunswick. Well, a lot of that space, a lot of what's been announced has been more higher tech companies, whether it's Bell Labs, whether it's Nokia. Now, you say Nokia, and I think back to the brick cell phone I used to have like 25 years ago. And my sister-in-law had until like 2 years ago. But they're pivoting into medical device, and that's interesting. And here's an area where New Jersey, in this case, but no reason it couldn't be New York City or Westchester or Long Island, can have a portion of the life science market that they can claim as home. And so also you're seeing, even in biotech, because of AI, for example, more focus within what we think of as a drug developing business toward using technology, harnessing that in some ways. It's no secret that NVIDIA, a big AI chip maker, has targeted life science biopharma companies as a growing customer base for their products. And so I'd be curious to see how biotech and what we used to call higher tech join in the next couple of years and actually beyond to grow a larger industry than either one could do over here. And I say either one because, look, you've got Boston, you've got Philadelphia, you have North Carolina. There's a lot of competition for biotech and pharma and other life science businesses that New York and New Jersey will have to face, and does. But and so I'd be curious to see how that grows.
Okay, so we want to wrap this up, so I'm going to ask you, the last couple of years have been tough for life science in general. You have any read on what might happen in 2025 with the change in the election and everything?
I don't think they even know what the 2025 is going to produce, let alone us trying to figure it out. So I think we'll watch closely. I know that just this past week, I wrote in Gen, in which 3 analysts attempted to discern what the next couple of years will be. I think they're waiting to see whether indeed there's a lot of disruption at the FDA and other federal agencies that biotechs deal with a lot. And by those, I would include the NIH, even the CDC, because of the public health functions it has. So they're trying to grasp what this next year is going to be. They do say that smaller companies should fare better than bigger ones. That was an interesting observation from the analysts. And the reason they think President Trump is likely to to nominate someone for the Federal Trade Commission who's going to be friendlier to mergers and acquisitions than what we've seen under Lina Khan in the Biden administration. Well, we'll see how that develops, and also what impact for the larger companies, how much are they slowed down by changes at the FDA? Do companies that are global, for example, go to Europe and develop a vaccine a little bit faster and then slow walk it over here? We'll have to wait and see.
Great. Well, we will watch that. Just a couple of last comments. For those of you who are not members of our organization, a lot of benefits in joining. I hope you enjoyed the program today. We are starting our membership renewal drive and our new membership drive. So there's lots of benefits. There's actually a sign outside. You can click on the QR code, I guess that's what it's called, and get more information about that. And also, please join us at our next two upcoming events. On December 3rd, we are starting our programming in Westchester with Westchester County and the Catalyst, and we're excited to have an expert-led overview of what's going on in Westchester, and then we will be having our holiday mixer at 125 West End Lab again on December 10th, and we invite you to join us. So thank you very much for coming today.